when you go to interview or when you're up for promotion or this is your year-end review, you're trying to get a high rating.
Yeah.
If you don't got proof,
if you don't have any receipts,
exactly. I always tell people, like, keep a living document. If you want to get to that next level, if you want to make sure that the work you've done is actually in the system, because they're gonna go back to the system,
and the
data, but like, you want a promotion? What have you done?
Hey, welcome to The Technical Creative. I am your host, Dr. Nehemiah Mabry. This is a show produced by STEMedia for career development and growth in both the technical and creative spaces. Our guest today is Watanya Resper. She's going to be talking about a number of things, such as how she developed a background in both technical and HR experience, what recruiters keep in mind even in casual interactions, and how you can set yourself up for your future opportunities. You want to hear that? Well, stay tuned on The Technical Creative. All right, yo, I'm gonna give you a pound, okay? All right, yo, what's up, Watanya? How you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
You made it.
Yes.
Listen,
Thanks for having me.
I'm happy to have you. Thank you for agreeing to come on the platform.
Yes.
I mean, you are someone who has a front row seat of the tech movements in this area.
Yes.
You work for SAS.
Yes.
SAS Institute. Let me just say this real quick.
The best place to work.
All right, now, hey, y'all need to give her a raise. Already out the gate. She needs a raise, y'all. Listen, SAS is a multinational developer of analytics software, which helps to access, manage, analyze, report on data to aid in decision-making. This company's software boasts multi-billion dollars in annual revenue, multi-billion dollars, that is used by most of the Fortune 500 companies. So my question right out the gate for you is, y'all hiring?
Yes, we are hiring.
Yeah, all right, cool. Hey, let me know what I need to do.
Yes, we are hiring. We are doing a lot of internal mobility and development, but not at the volumes we were hiring during the pandemic.
Right.
But we definitely have.
Yeah,
roles.
definitely hiring.
Yes, always.
Listen, well, let me say this. I'm going to be vulnerable really quick because people at home, they may not know that we were supposed to start this interview at a certain time of this day. And I was late. I'm going to be honest with you. I appreciate you so gracious. But here's my real question, though. If I was seriously trying to get a job.
Oh, yeah, that ain't going to work.
Oh, man. She's telling me that, like, low key. So you would make, and this is what people need to hear, right? I mean, this was a casual, you would make a mental note and be like, hold up.
First impressions, like everything in an interview. Damn. And I grew up being in like marching bands. It's like, to be early is to be on time.
Yes.
To be on time is to be late.
To be late.
Too late is not an option.
Oh my goodness. Yo, I'm getting
so
it straight.
I give you some grace today.
You give me grace? Okay, cool. She basically telling me like I wouldn't stand a chance to be hired. Like, this dude was late. He asked me to be here at the interview.
We had to have a good excuse. We made like, SAS is a really nice place and a forgiving place. So we'd probably be like, okay, let's give you a chance depending on the excuse. But I'm going to take note of that.
You're going to be taking note, even though you're smiling. Oh, it's all good. It's all good. Listen, if you say it's all good, it means I'm not going to go off on you, but I'm going to remember that. Yeah.
Just make sure you really impress in the interview.
I got you. You got to like pass with flying colors.
Yes,
got you.
Definitely so.
All right. Well, hey, would I be putting you on the spot if I ask you a little bit about SAS? Like, because one of the things, and I want to know about how you got into this work, but also curious to know a little bit more about the SAS history, because you know, I went to NC State. I got my PhD from NC State. The school, SAS was founded,
at NC State.
At NC State.
Yes.
So talk a little bit about SAS and then talk about how your journey, how did you get there?
Yeah, so you already read about what SAS does, but SAS has always been one of the best places to work. Like, we really are big on ensuring that we value our employees, making sure we're developing them, training, whatever you want to do, you can do it at SAS. Like if you want to pivot, make a career change, you can do it there. The options are limitless. Multi-billion-dollar company, debt-free. Not many companies that are debt-free, that are a global billion-dollar company, and we're still privately held at the moment.
That's what I was going to ask you. So SAS is still a privately held company. Is it, I guess, the biggest privately held company in North Carolina for sure?
Yes. So Dr. Goodnight, the founder, he's still running the company. He's still active on campus. You still see him.
The founder, Dr. Goodnight, he was a professor at NC State. At some point,
I don't know if he was a professor. I just know that he started it when he was there.
When he was at NC State.
Yeah.
And I think I looked on the list, he's like the
In North Carolina.
The richest person in North Carolina.
Yes.
Yeah. So you got his number. I just want to hit him up, see if you want to.
Yeah, I mean,
come on
hit him up back before.
I want to see if you want to come on the show or something. You want to sponsor Dr. Goodnight? Shout out to you. Go Pack.
Yeah.
Go Pack, Dr. Goodnight.
Yes, he's big on NC State.
Yeah.
But yes, he is. He's great in terms of a leader. He's really involved. You know, you're not going to get anything over on him.
Yeah.
He's very sharp. You know, he'll pop in a session, an event, and you don't even know he's coming.
He's just like, what's up, y'all? Making sure. All right. Who's late? You know what I mean? So how did you get into recruiting? Tell me your path into this world.
Yeah.
HR and recruiting, I guess, generally.
So, I mean, currently a technical recruiter.
Okay.
But I will say I've always been in this hybrid HR, technical space.
Yeah.
I'm going to say since high school.
Really?
Yes.
Okay. Tell me about that.
So I started off in high school. I was always involved in almost every minority program, excellence development program you can think of.
Okay.
So if there was a program you had an interview for and it was development, I was signing up.
Wow. Yeah.
And I was CERTL. I'm not sure if you're familiar with that. That's at Wake Forest, Winston State.
Okay. It's like a pre-college kind of program? Or
Yeah, so I was in that program in high school, and it's a research program.
Okay.
And you interview, you have to have a certain GPA, you get paid a stipend, and it was just for minorities, and you were either going to be part of the medical field, out doing medical research, or you was going to be doing computer science. And the thing is, you didn't know what you were going to do. You just interviewed, and then they paired up the individual students.
Okay.
I think it was like 12 in the program.
So you were a go-getter in high school. You were one of those people where they read the names and they hear your name and they're like, oh, of course she's
I mean, I was a straight A student and I was involved and so forth. But, you know, really trying to take advantage of any free resource, any free program, because I know I got invited to participate in some programs, but there was a cost. I mean, I come from a single family household.
We don't got it all the time. We don't always got it. I hear you.
You had to take advantage, but I, during CERTL, I think it stands for Center of Excellence Research, Teaching, and Learning. So I got paired up with computer science. And so I think this was my sophomore year of high school.
10th grade.
Yes.
Okay.
So they put me in computer science. I was at Wake Forest and Winston State. I was learning how to code for the first. I've never heard of any of this. I went to a predominantly Black and Hispanic high school.
So the resources weren't
those
certain classes aren't even offered at certain schools.
So I mean, I was very fortunate. So I learned how to HTML, all that from scratch. The code, I used to get so excited to be coding, save it, and have my whole website.
Put the background wallpaper using HTML.
Marquee and all that.
I remember that. You talking about MySpace? Were you on MySpace?
Yes. Oh, my MySpace was better than anybody. I learned how to code over their actual platform. So my friends used to be like, oh, do my page.
Yo, she was killing the MySpace, man. You had Tom impressed, huh? Tom was like, yo, I got to be her friend.
I was his number one friend. He was everybody's friend.
I thought I was his number one friend, but hey, with a background like that, you probably kill it. Okay.
So I did that in high school. So then when I got into my junior year, we were fortunate in my high school, our business department, we had the computer classes, but our teacher actually was able to start teaching a class like HTML and so forth. And because I had already learned it, she had me teaching my peers.
You were teaching your peers?
Yes. Wow. And when she was out, she'd leave a note for the sub. Watanya's in charge. So, you know.
Who do you know? What substitute teacher is actually in high school with you?
They follow the rule. I had a permanent hall pass, so I was good enough student. I was able to finish up all my classes early. I could have graduated early, but I didn't want to miss out on all the senior activities. They're like, you come back and walk. I was like, and miss out?
Yeah, you didn't want to miss out on the experience.
So they just gave me, by the time I got to my senior year, like in the business and the computer department, they just like, hey, permanent hall pass, you just come teach class. So I teach my peers how to develop websites. I was teaching classes for adults at the high school, computer. I think I went and took my Microsoft Certified Professional Certification in high school. I missed it by 1 point.
I'm talking to Miss most likely to succeed right here in front of me effectively, right? Wow.
I missed it by 1 point, and that was without studying, just from what I had learned
from the programs and everything.
And I thinking back, I was like, I should have went back and took it, but I was in high school. I didn't know no better. Like,
well, it's cool. Well, let me ask you this though, because obviously you graduated high school, you had this permanent hall pass, you stellar high school record.
Yeah.
What was the pivot? Was it in college when you chose your major into more of like the HR type?
Yeah. So when I was in college, not sure how familiar you are with Inroads, but
I know about Inroads.
Inroads.
Shout out to Inroads.
Yes, one of the best internship development programs out there for minorities. But I was an Inroads intern.
Okay.
And I was paired up with Target to do a business internship. I did HR. Okay. At that time, I was already an HR major.
Okay.
So even though I had a passion for development, my freshman year, I was like, technology changes a lot.
Right,
I'm always going to have to learn a new skill. Mm-hmm. And I was like, what industry or profession that every company needs? I said every company needs to hire and fire people.
For sure, people going to be a part of it.
That's how I selected HR as my concentration.
Okay.
The good thing about, I went to UNC Greensboro, the G for sure.
G. She went to the G.
I went there, and at that time, they were only one of 3 schools in the entire country that had HR as an undergraduate concentration.
Oh, okay.
Like most schools only have HR as a master's program.
Yeah.
So I was very fortunate. It was something my school offered.
Yeah.
And even most corporations, HR is typically considered like a higher level position. My first year with Inroads in Target, I did an HR internship doing like employee relations surveys.
Okay,
and
so you were getting your feet
like
wet
that.
And you liked it.
Yes, and then during the school year, Target allowed me to be a campus recruiter, helping to recruit for their management program.
Wow.
So I was a recruiter during the school year.
Yeah.
But I also had a part-time job on campus as a web developer. So I was,
so you had the perfect blend of like this technical and sort of people technical creative.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? Plug.
Yes.
Got it. Okay.
I worked for the Office of Undergraduate Research at UNCG. I did all their web development. I created their websites, did all their advertising.
Nice. As a student.
Yes, as a student.
Yeah.
And then recruited on the side. I minored in IT, so I didn't get rid of IT completely.
You had both.
Yes.
Okay,
so I'm one of those few people who's actually doing what she went to school for.
That's perfect. Yeah, no, you doing what you went to school for, and you haven't strayed away from even the technical side of things with all those certifications and Easter eggs you picked up in high school. But let me ask you this, though. As someone who kind of knows both sides, what do you feel like is one of the biggest or some of the misconceptions, somebody who's purely technical, who went to school for computer science and all that they may have about HR? What do you think are some of the
I feel like oftentimes they don't trust HR or even sometimes, especially a recruiter, they was like, oh, we're the like gatekeepers, we're preventing for it. But really, a recruiter is going to be your biggest advocate. You impressed me. Oh, I'm going to fight for you to get this job. I'm going to sell you to the hiring managers, the team. But I think people just have this misconception because we are a compliance organization.
Right.
We have to make sure that, the company, hiring managers team, are kind of making sure we're not putting us at risk. We're not hiring anybody that's going to put the company at risk.
Right.
I think that's one of the biggest misconceptions.
They just see you as an adversary and not as a, hey, we could work together.
Yeah, we're your advocate. Like, be nice to your recruiter because we're the first person you're going to interact with.
Yes.
And, how that first impression comes off is going to, go a long way.
Yeah. Well, we had a mutual friend, Bobby McNeil, on a couple of months ago. What can you tell me, though, as someone now who also works at HR, though, that's probably helpful, given the fact that you know a little bit about the technical side of things, that maybe someone who doesn't have that background? One,
you are able to really understand the requirements a lot better.
You're not just reading and say, hey, you need to know coding. Okay.
Yeah, and so part of a recruiter, you really have to meet with the business partner with them, really understand what the teams are doing, what the details of the job, because I'm going to be the first person someone interviews with.
Okay.
And so I have to know, if they know what they're talking about, they don't.
They're not trying to fool you.
Yeah.
Right.
So having, I haven't wrote any code in a long time.
Yeah.
But really having a true landscape of what the different technical roles are, foundational knowledge, when you interview someone, if they're,
the logic that's involved in it, right?
Or it makes sense.
Right.
Get a general gist of what these people do.
Right.
And then people are typically passionate in the tech industry if they're really good. So, you want to be able to ensure you can have a conversation with them, because worst thing you want is somebody really passionate, excited about opportunity, and you're like,
Right. Well, listen, I want to, speaking of this, we have a segment on this show, and we call it Pass or Fail.
Okay.
And I'm going to basically make some statements, because I think you resonated when you said how people in the technical seat sometimes have this view of HR that's sort of adversarial, or whatever the case may be. And I would love you to expound upon these things and tell me if these statements are true, they pass, or fail. All right?
Okay.
This is our segment, Pass or Fail.
Okay.
Number 1, HR's true role is protecting the company, not protecting the employees. Pass or fail?
I'm going to say fail.
Okay.
Because, HR, especially the employees in a sense, after HR, first of all, is very broad.
Okay.
You have so many different areas of HR. We have to protect the company. I think that's everybody's job.
Right. Company can't go away because we all need a job. All right.
Yeah, but, as far as employees, we're really in charge of their development, their growth, compensation.
Right. So you're still protecting them and their futures too.
Yeah.
Just within the company's framework.
Yes, correct.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. So Phil. All right. Cool. What about this? It is a bit tough for HR to be truly objective, as there will always be some sort of bias involved.
No.
So that's a fail.
Yes.
Okay.
Definitely a fail, because one, we coach a lot about unconscious bias. We are, the cheerleaders for making sure people are not bringing their biases into the interview process. And I think really as the ones who kind of own that process, we're not going to be the one adding more biases. And if anything, we're trying to implement systems to eliminate that. We're implementing trainings. When I speak to a hiring manager, I'm making sure they're not making assumptions. So I read their interview feedback and I'll question if something stands out. It's like, what does this have to do with the role? So at the end of the day, we're making sure we're hiring people based off of the job requirements and not any other outside bias.
So you think it's possible to completely eliminate it though?
No,
like never have any?
Because like I said, you do have unconscious bias.
Right,
There's this thing people can do with Harvard Business Review. It's a test you can go online and take. And that's something I always recommend people to take. You can really see what are some of your unconscious bias, because we all have them.
Right.
But trying to do the work to help eliminate that.
And combat,
but even when you're looking at the feedback and things of that nature, be like, you catch yourself.
Yeah.
So you can't always eliminate them, but you can stop them from impacting decisions.
Got it. All right, cool. I got another one though. Here it is. There's a limit to how involved HR should be in personal.
I'm going to say pass.
Okay.
Because, and it also depends, if the personal issue is impacting the workplace, then HR does need to be involved. Then there's employee relations department who handles those situations. However, I don't want nobody in my personal life.
For sure.
And even if someone's interviewing, I always coach people, don't bring in a lot of personal, because then you're going to bring in biases into the process that the manager wasn't already thinking about.
I feel like politics is one of those things nowadays, right? A person can bring up who they voted for, and it's like...
then they're going to have...
you don't know
those people.
You don't know who you're talking to.
Exactly. So... especially when you're interviewing, even like on resumes, people put these long explanations while they were out of work, and they sometimes personal stories. I was like, leave that out, you know. You can put the time frame and then just put personal reasons.
Right.
You don't owe nobody no personal explanation. Right. Can you do the job is what's most important.
Right. I don't need to know what you ate last night.
Exactly. It does. Some people think they build a relationship that way, but in the end, you're bringing in aspects into your selection decisions that's not even related to the job.
Right.
And you want to avoid that as much as possible.
All right. Let me see. One more passive fail. There is a such thing as too much employee surveillance.
I'm going to say pass.
Okay.
Because, I mean, you can't over police your people.
Okay.
One, you have to trust them. If you don't trust your employees, why are they there?
Yeah.
So, you can't, I mean, I personally haven't worked for a company where they're monitoring your keystrokes.
Oh, I have. I mean, it wasn't a company. I had experience at NASA.
Yeah.
And they monitor keystrokes at NASA.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, because it's national security, I guess.
Yeah. But there is a such thing as over policing because it just centers around trust. If you can't trust the people to do the work you hired them to do, why did you
even hire them? Right. Yeah. No, that's a good point. Well spoken. Well, listen, I want to get into a little bit before we come back to like advice for people out here in their career path. Let's talk a little bit about your creative side, your other interests and everything, right? You're a certified fitness instructor.
Yes.
Right? You own kind of like a customized jewelry company.
Yes.
And then you're like a big DIYer.
Yes.
Let's talk about it. Let's start with fitness. When did you start Zumba, I believe, right?
Yes. So I actually have about 8 fitness certifications.
What? So not just Zumba?
Yes, not just Zumba.
Yeah.
I have my national group fitness, so I can teach any format. I have quite a few certifications, but 11 years I've been
11 years.
Yes.
So you've been, not only were you getting straight A's in high school, you was on your fitness game. Like you were getting straight A's in physical fitness, physical conditioning.
I mean, I started that. I think I really started with the fitness around the same time I started technical recruitment. I think I started technical recruitment probably a year or two before.
Yeah.
And then I got into fitness.
And then your jewelry business, were you always a crafts kind of person?
Yeah, so even jewelry, DIY, all that, I just kind of always, I used to look at stuff like, oh, I can make that.
I can figure out how to
all
they did was put the thing in
I think it made me like I'm cheap, but really DIY stuff ended up costing you more money than if you could have bought it.
Man, what? I promise you driving to Michael's, you get the wrong side, then you just like, yo, I might as well just bought it off.
Yeah, good thing about SAS, we get reimbursed for hobbies and craft. We have a wellness account. We get reimbursed.
Wait a minute. Joe, they get reimbursed for hobbies and crafts. What kind of job?
That covers cigars.
Yeah, I'm saying, right? Yeah. What if my hobby and craft is sleeping? Like, can I get reimbursed? I'm a sleep hobbyist. Like, can I get reimbursed?
I don't know. Hopefully, we can do that for free.
Well, I don't know. I mean, but yeah, that is crazy. Okay.
So I used to just make stuff for myself, and then friends would be like, ask me to make stuff, and so that just kind of evolved into making jewelry. I made what I'm wearing today.
Oh, really? Earrings?
Earrings, exactly.
See, we should have brought some stuff. We could have put it on the thing. Yeah. That's dope. That's pretty impressive.
And then I just like hands-on, building stuff, creating stuff. I have all the tools at my house. So
how you manage everything, right? You got the job, which is, I'm thinking HR, you probably have like periods where, it's pretty manageable. Then I'm sure you probably have other periods where like maybe there are mass layoffs or mass hires or whatever, where you can get very stressed. How do you deal with that and then still hit the gym and be like, all right, y'all, squat and smile?
Yeah.
How you doing?
I mean, I think the biggest thing is about balancing your time, but also focus on what you're focusing on while you're focusing.
Yeah.
So if I'm at work, I'm focused on work. When I'm off work, I'm like, what am I doing in this moment? I'm not trying to do everything at one time.
You're not a multitasker like that.
I mean, I'm a multitasker within
the context.
But I'm not trying to. One, you have to have structure.
Yeah.
One, you have to be really organized with your calendar. I think even that's the same way, like with recruitment, I always mentor a lot of younger recruiters. Yeah. And I always say, you need to block off your calendar.
That's true.
Because if you're doing high volume, you could be sitting there all day interviewing people or speaking with hiring managers. Like, you have to block off your calendar, have time to do the administrative stuff, take a break or something. Yeah. But it's really just being organized. Like, what am I doing at this moment? I'm normally not working on 2 projects at the same time.
Right. You're not threading the necklace while you're also trying to like do somebody's background check.
No. So I try to do those things in my downtime, but not have multiple.
And I'm sure it refreshes you too, the fitness and the like sort of the crafts.
It keeps you sharp. I mean, I always feel good after I work out, even if I don't want to work out. Like, it's refreshing. And then like the jewelry is really the crafts outside of the regular DIY stuff is solid, but like jewelry, I can just sit on my couch, watch Netflix, and just be something.
Chilling. I bet it's very stressful even too. I bet in a lot of cases.
Yeah. So it's soothing. Like really making jewelry is like my one thing I can do that's not too stressful. Like being a fitness instructor, I had to spend hours. I make up all my like choreography, routine.
Oh,
so
you make it up.
Yeah, so I have to spend hours like planning out my class, what the song's
Basically
gonna
like
be,
a lesson plan.
the playlist, the order. It has to flow, so I'm not killing it.
Let me ask you this though, real quick on that, and then we get into some more advice that you can give us. Do you sometimes be tired when you leading out and you be like, I'm gonna cheat real quick today? Or do it's like y'all sometimes talk and be like, all right, y'all, let's go.
Yeah.
You catch your breaks like that?
So yes and no, but the one thing I love it so much though. So most of the time I just want to do it with them,
right?
But also the thing about being an instructor, you do have to make sure you're motivating and make sure people actually got it.
Right.
Yeah.
Or yeah.
So you don't want to overwork yourself. However, you always give it 110%. Nobody want an instructor that is barely
like yo, you're not even.
Like,
hold on now. They paying you. They need to pay me.
But it just depends on how many classes. I know some instructors who teach a lot of classes back to back, and so they really are more. Oh, I'm gonna show you the move, and then you gotta
like,
do
right.
it. Some who like, oh, one class tonight, I'm just gonna do it or take breaks, move around. But
right.
It depends.
Okay, well, hey, let's get some more career advice. You've been giving some good advice so far, and of course, I told you we were talking a little bit about after a person sort of gets on the other side of that tech job, they get into their dream company, wanting to ascend the corporate ladder, if you will. What are like maybe some 3, I don't know, skills that you would recommend for someone who wants to be successful after they landed the job?
Yeah. In terms of skills, I mean, I think in general, regardless if you're looking for a job or you have a job and trying to move up in the job, next level, really it's not really a skill.
Okay.
One thing I always tell people is making sure you're always preparing yourself.
Okay.
So, the saying, stay ready so you don't have to get ready.
You got to get ready. That's the fact.
So, one piece of advice I always give people is making sure you're documenting.
Okay.
Documenting, what you've done, like the work you've done, projects you work on. Have you been a part of any special initiatives, taking on any leadership roles? Are you taking any like new trainings, new certifications? Went to some conference, like document all of that.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, when you go to interview or when you're up for promotion or this is your year-end review, you're trying to get a high rating.
Yeah.
If you don't got proof, and it's hard to recall everything.
Right. It is.
And I think a lot of people, especially once you've gotten into a company, you get comfortable.
You do.
And you get really content and be like, oh, they know what I'm doing.
Right.
But then you see the other side of it. You get frustrated your year in review. They're like, oh, it meets expectations. You're like, what?
Like,
I've been doing all this.
And you ain't got no receipts. If you don't have any receipts.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I always keep a living document.
Of what you're doing. Okay.
And
That's good.
I think I learned that like the hard way throughout my career. So I always tell people like keep a living document. If you want to get to that next level, if you want to make sure that the work you've done is actually in the system. Because they're going to go back to the system,
and they're going to see
data. But like, you want a promotion? What have you done?
Hey, I feel like, Watanya, I don't know who this is for. But you need to go back and document what you did in 2023 right now. You know what I'm saying? Like,
and it makes it easier, especially when you've been in a company for a while. It may be a few years before you're ready to take that next move.
Yep.
And then you're trying to prepare. You haven't interviewed in a while. You haven't, done. And you're like, dang, what I was done trying to update my resume.
I did, And it's probably good stuff out there that you just don't have at the top of your head. All right, so document. Give me 2 more though, because I think that's solid.
Yes, and I would say in terms of skills, it really just depends on what your passions are.
Okay.
So I can always give you like, oh, what are the top technical?
I mean, should I try to? Because maybe not technical skills, but should I try to, say, become more of a leader, like in my group or whatever?
Yeah, so that's why I go back to it depends on what you want to do. Everybody don't want to be a leader.
Okay, facts.
Some people, one thing I know, like at SAS, we have 2 ladders. So you can climb like that individual contributor ladder, or you can climb that management ladder.
Leadership, the titles.
And then some people get into like those managerial roles, find out this is not what they want to do,
facts. So, like,
and go back. So it really just depends on what do you want to do. Really taking the time to figure out the different opportunities in your company, find a mentor. But if you do want to take a leadership role, take on some leadership roles in like employee resource groups, be on those councils, lead a project on your team, identify some solutions, or areas where there's a problem on your team and find a solution. Take the initiative.
Yeah.
Like you want to be a leader, but you don't have no initiative. You're waiting for someone to tell you to do something. It's not a leader to me.
That's not a leader. You passive right there. Yeah, no, I got you.
Yeah.
So it sounds like, I mean, you want to have informed clarity on what you want to do,
Yes.
and then learn what those things are.
And, you know, whether it is, even if you don't want to be a leader, but there's another role you want to take on, maybe it's a higher level role, but you feel like you're lacking in some of those skills. Most companies, especially if you talk about your dream company, a lot of dream companies have free trainings, free certifications on technical and professional development side. Take advantage of those opportunities. Go to some conferences, take a day off, go to a conference or something, network, really find out what that work is about, because worst thing you want to do is like, oh, I want to get into this job, and then realize it ain't
what you thought.
Yeah, do your research. That's the big research skills.
No, that's good. I want to ask you one more question, because I did say 3, so I want to get like one more piece of advice. And that piece of advice, can you give me in the form of a mistake that you see, a common mistake you see people to make that, like, get them, hey, you out here.
One thing I would say is not proofreading. So that, I mean, one, proofreading. I listened to the interview with Bobby. Bobby's talking about, you know, whatever you put on your resume or Chat GPT. So whatever's on your resume, make sure you have proofread it. Like, whether you put it on there, Chat GPT, whatever it may be.
Don't put your name on something that you haven't even like fully. That, you know what, that happened to me before in my career. I don't want to go deep into it, but I'm an engineer by trade, actually. And I've been a part of some reports. And I remember people were asking me about something. And when I read it, I was like, yo, I don't even know.
You had to proofread. I remember with manual testing, quality, like insurance analysts, back when there was a lot more manual testing versus automation. Because I got it started in recruitment with staffing agency, how most recruiters typically get into recruitment. And one of our clients was a software company in the area. I won't say who they are, but
you won't put them on blast.
Yeah, a software company, and we were hiring for a QA tester. And we send a resume. The hiring manager rejected them, and the reason why, they had a spelling error on their resume. You're applying for a QA, quality assurance in
your own application on your resume.
Like, they didn't quality check their own resume, so how can I trust?
What you going to do with our high level?
How can I trust that they're going to quality check their code? And it's not just about spelling, grammar. You actually need to read your resume out loud, make sure it makes sense, make sure it's not too wordy. Make sure it's not an autobiography. Like,
I know.
We are not,
come on, get to the point.
Like, I've received 30 pages resume. I was like,
you had a 30 page?
Yeah, and it's like, this is a short version.
Oh, see, they trying to impress somebody.
So proofread, make sure you are able to clearly articulate what's on your resume once you do get in that process. But if you haven't proofread to understand, make sure it's relevant. Like, hey, reading through, like, is what
I want to be a sales associate, but you applying for like back end coding or something.
I get some resume. I'm like, did you read the job description?
Listen.
So it's like, you know, you may be great, you may have all the skills, but they're not on your resume. You're sending that same resume to every single job, and you haven't reread your resume to make sure your resume really speaks to the job posting. That's good. Well, Watanya, I want to, and we're coming to it, and this has been fantastic. And I want to ask you a couple of questions before I ask you our final question. Can you give us just a couple of trends that you're seeing, like people who are like trying to position themselves for the future? It seemed like you really thought about that when you were coming up, but like, as you see things happening, what type of trends can you maybe speak to in the tech industry? Yeah, definitely. I see a lot more people getting into cybersecurity. Why would cybersecurity always be the hot button topic? And there's more jobs than there are people. So I definitely see that as a trend, especially with AI and all that is introducing more vulnerabilities. So cybersecurity is definitely one of the biggest trends. And I'm also going to say, I know I work for a data company, but anything data related, I remember, I think it was earlier this year, I remember seeing something about like the IRS. They were hiring hundreds and hundreds of data analysts and machine learning because one, they need people who, you know, can analyze data and do all these audits. We're like collecting so much data nowadays, you know, so you're right. We need more and more people that know how to manage it and analyze it. Data science, data analyst field is really coming up. And then one area in IT, but it's not a technical role, more of a functional role. I'm going to say product management. So product management last year was like the fastest growing role in IT last year.
We had a guest, a project manager that talked about that recently too. So that's really good.
Yeah,
That's good.
I know last year I hired a lot of product managers. So even if people are looking for a more functional role who's not as technical, that could be a route to go in. So,
Gotcha. This has been fantastic.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for all the gems you've been dropping. I know people online are taking it out and going to document. They're going to make sure they get clarity on what they want to do. I got to ask you a question, though.
Yes.
And this is our final question. This is our words of wisdom segment at the end.
Yes.
And if you had the opportunity to, say, go back in time and talk to your younger self about 5-10 years ago, maybe before you went to college even, right?
Yeah.
What would you say to that younger self? And then we want you to kind of put a time capsule message out there for your future self.
Yes.
Like, say, 5-10 years from now.
Yes.
What would you say? You can say it directly to the camera.
Yes. I think advice I would give to my younger self, probably not as far back as before school, but something I've learned as I've gone through like my career is just don't continue to like suffer in places that no longer serve you. So it's like, you know, sometimes you get stuck in these jobs and you're not really happy, or, you know, you stay too long and you're not really growing, you're not learning, you're not developing, and you done lost all your passion that you had when you started. So, you know, just don't stay longer than you need to. You know, if you're not happy, there's options. You have to own your own journey at the end of the day.
That's good. That's good. Okay. Into that future self, what do they need to hear?
Take your time, sis. Like, take your time off. So I remember just early on, I was just trying to do everything. Like, I always felt like early on. So it's like now I'm really big on balancing, make sure I have my vacation booked. So I want to make sure my future self, I'm still doing that. Like, what country did I go to?
Hey.
So, you know, it's really important to find time for you. You know, you can't pour from empty cups. So it's like, you know, work is going to be there, but I want to make sure that I'm still taking my time off to recharge and enjoy life.
You hear that, Watanya? We talking to you, Watanya. And to anybody that can relate to Watanya. We forget that sometimes. So I'm really glad you have obviously done very well in your career. You have a hand in other people's career in your role. And I just want to thank you so much again for coming on the show.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure.
Yes. Well, take care.
All right. Thanks.
All right. Bye.